it's Kathy Kress again, and I'm back for my YouTube channel, Geriatric Care 1. Always tune in. I've done several segments on care plan, on which I'm doing right now, on assessing caregivers, on functional assessment, which we'll talk about, psychosocial assessment, but right now we're doing care planning, and this is the third one. So what I suggest in a care plan is to have a pick list in your psychosocial assessment and your functional assessment, actually above your care plan. And what a pick list means is that there are several problems that older people usually have. So it gives you a heads up to what you should really be looking at and putting down in your problem and solution. So you want to know, first of all, do they have a self-care deficit? Because a lot of older people have self-care deficits. That means they can't bathe, they have trouble grooming, the bathroom's the most dangerous place in the world for older people. When you think of all the things you do in there, take off your clothes, get in the shower, use the soap, don't come out with a conditioner in your hair. I do it all the time, not all the time. So self-care deficit, first of all, can they dress? Impaired home management, really common. They're unable to really clean their house. Alteration in nutrition, a lot of people have nutritional deficits because taste changes as you get older and you lose weight, and that becomes a real problem. Impaired skin integrity, that means that your skin starts to break down. And that can be really dangerous. You can end up in the hospital and dying of impaired skin integrity. Impaired mobility happens to a lot of us because what happens, I'm just reading Brave New World with my book club. And in Brave New World, nobody gets sick and dies. That's the New World Order. It was #1 on Amazon. But in Brave New World, no one gets arthritis. It's Aldous Huxley. I'd like to recommend him. I recommend a lot of writers because you have to have a broad scope to do geriatric care management. So, but in our real world now, people do get old, they do die, and as the slow process of aging happens, you get arthritis. So impaired mobility, are they a risk fall, just like I talked about in the last episode of the woman who tripped over the hose outside her house, and she had arthritis already and broke her hip. Knowledge deficit, we talked about, psychosocial assessments. In a psychosocial, the person might not be able to drive to the store. And why can't they drive to the store? Because they have a knowledge deficit. They've forgotten exactly what the path is to the store. And so knowledge deficit, you do mini-mental or whatever assessment that you use to do that. Mini-mental is pretty common. Alteration in bowel elimination, another common point. Alteration in urinary elimination. All these, our liver and all of our organs start to age and they don't work well anymore. So you want to find out, that's a very common thing and you put it in your pick list. Loneliness, most older people are really lonely because they either live alone or their children don't visit anymore. That's American society. I won't make a comment about that. So, are they lonely? And obviously that's a really important thing, and you would do a GDS, which is Geriatric Depression Scale, because if they're lonely. Depression, already talked about, that's common, and pain. So use those as a pick list in your care plan. And usually somebody's going to have half of them or 3/4 of them. How do you finance a care plan? Well, you've heard me say this before. If you have a Hyundai budget, you cannot create a Jaguar care plan. It's just not, people can't afford it. So do not send them to $10,000 a month assisted living if they don't have the money to do that. So you have to do in your psychosocial assessment a financial assessment, and it should be part of the standardized assessment because you need to know whether they are a Jaguar or a Hyundai or something in between, like an Infiniti. Objectivity, you have to have objectivity to do this, and I've talked about this many times, but it's really important that you see it in an impersonal way. Do not be a geriatric care manager for any of your friends. I need to tell you that. I have done it twice. It was not a good idea. But what objectivity is about also is that several geriatric care managers might do a care plan, and they might be different because everybody has a different way of saying things. And the last one is how to create an objective care plan, and that's really why I want you to do objectivity. So you want to use standardized assessment tools, and hopefully your agency has standardized assessment tools. In my new manual, I have standardized assessment tools, which are a standardized psychosocial assessment, standardized functional assessment, and a health assessment, GDS, because you want to use the same tools all the time and really good tools that measure all of these problems. You want to find out what your agency uses if your agency already uses standardized assessment tools, which many of you will do. So we will see you next time. And we will see the 4th episode of this. And meanwhile, go to my website, kathygress.com, check out my blog, because I'm doing care plans right now. And have a great day.